Hi everyone, it's Graham from ghartlephotography.com. Just going to do a quick tutorial showing how I use luminosity masks to bring out color and detail in the shadows and tone down some of the highlights. Start off with this image in Lightroom first, and so we'll just go through it and see what the result is at the end. So first off, I have a preset which I've already set up, which is called Basic Adjustments, and that just basically straightens the photo, does the highlights and shadows, and a couple of other things. So from there, that's looking a lot better than what it was to start with. That's what we started off with. That's where we're up to at the moment. I just made a couple of small adjustments. Right, white balance, I'm going to leave the white balance as it is, because that's pretty close to what I want anyway. We'll find the white point, and we'll go for the black point. Okay, so that's made a nice change there. Into the Details tab, I've already applied some sharpening and noise reduction. Now I'm just going to apply the masking. So anything black doesn't get sharpened, and that's what we want. We don't want the clouds getting sharpened. There's no point. They're supposed to be soft and fluffy, so we'll leave them light, soft and fluffy, while just getting sharpening around the edges of the masts, the boats. Lens correction, just going to do a slight lens correction, see if that works, just to straighten it. Just needs to slightly be straightened, and that's worked just right. Camera calibration, quite happy with it as standard, but I might just try Vivid, see if that does anything. And I think I'm going to use that. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to try something. It doesn't always work this, but I'll give it a go. We'll just double click on the word exposure. It's actually darkened it more than what I thought it would. And yeah, I don't like that. I'm going to put it back as it was. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it into Photoshop, and in Photoshop I'm going to apply some luminosity masks to the darks, the highlights and midtones. So there'll be 3 masks used, and we'll see if we can get any dramatic improvement on the image as it is. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the TK Actions panel for this, and we'll pick our darks 3. Okay, so darks 3, as you can see the matching ants going all around things. What exactly are we looking at? I'll click on the view button. Okay, so the red areas, red pink areas, are the areas where the luminosity mask is going to be doing its work. The greyed out areas it's not going to touch. So as you can see, most of the dark areas, the stuff that was in deep shadow, the red, and then the other darker areas is more pink. That's doing a good job, although it looks like it's actually going into the clouds slightly. So I may actually change this, because I don't want to affect the clouds if at all possible. Just try darks 4, and we'll see what that one looks like. Darks 4 is much better. That restricts it right down to what I want. Okay, so from there I'm going to choose a curves adjustment. I'm going to just put an anchor point in the center, and then we'll just drag that up slightly, and as you can see, as it goes up, the shadows decrease slightly. Okay, so it's brightening up my shadows, which is just what I want. I don't want it to affect colour, so I'm going to change the blend mode to luminosity. I'm going to do exactly the same now with lights. Before I do that though, I'm just going to turn that layer off. Choose lights 2. And there we go, marching ants are all around that very bright central section. And again, if we look at the view of that, we find that it affects not only that bright section where the marching ants were, but parts of the clouds and the water, and that's really what I want. That's what I'm aiming for. So we'll turn that view off, and again we'll use another curves layer. Turn this one back on a moment. Right, and what I'm going to do here is roughly about 3/4 of the way across, and I'm just going to drag that down, and that's going to darken down the highlights. And again, because I don't want to affect colour, we'll change it to luminosity. Okay, so the final one I want to do is I'm going to choose a midtones 3, and with that one again just using a curves adjustment, set to auto and soft light blend mode, and we'll just reduce the opacity of that down a touch. So that's 70, 55, yeah, 55s look good to me, so I think I'll leave it there. So we'll just have a look, see if we've accomplished anything. So that's the original image brought in, and that's after we've added our luminosity masks applied, and there's a nice difference to that. Yep, I'm very happy with that. So I'll just save that and we'll head back into Lightroom. As you see, luminosity masks are very subtle changes. You can make very dramatic changes with them, but I tend to try and stick to the more subtle approach. So while I'm making alterations, I don't want to be making something that's too outrageous, which I'm afraid some people do. So that's my original image from Lightroom, and that's the image as it appears now after being processed through Photoshop. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to do some more on luminosity masks because it's a very, very powerful technique, and it can make a very big difference to your images. So this is Graham from ghartlphotography.com saying thank you, and I'll see you again next time.